Hey guys, back with another Navigate on Autopilot video. We are currently, I got another software update, so we are currently running 2019.28.3.1, and it has been working pretty well. I was down in San Francisco on business. I actually drove back yesterday, and it navigated pretty much the entire way from San Francisco to Sacramento without any issues. So let's set it up here. There we go. As many of you know, the Navigate on Autopilot feature will take you from on-ramp to off-ramp and make lane changes, take interchanges, and basically do everything for you until you reach that off-ramp. I'm testing out a different camera angle. I've been struggling a little bit to get the proper camera angle, and I'm new to this, so any kind of suggestions out there, comments, I would truly appreciate. This commute here, I don't know if I posted a video on my commute to work. We're in Sacramento, California, just for reference. We're on Interstate 80 right now, and taking a somewhat major interchange onto Business Loop 80, or the Capital City Freeway is sometimes what it's called. But this freeway commute is somewhat short, 6 or 7 miles, but has a good variety of different things to challenge the software. So it's a fairly good, I think, test. We're sitting in queue here, getting ready to jump on the interchange. Coming up. One of the things I like about this and the test of the Navigate on Autopilot is it's not just a simple get on the freeway, go the speed limit, and get off the freeway. There we go, just made an automatic lane change. Which, you know, this is one of the things that I think hopefully it will learn over time, but just driving this, I've been driving this commute now for 7 years, and that far right lane over there is much faster right here. But it's just one of the nuances that software like this, there's just no way I think can anticipate that. It's always going to guide you, I think, into the lane that requires the least navigation. Although it does a really good job of judging the trajectory and speed of traffic on your left and right and making lane changes based on the speed of that traffic, and it will always take the fastest route, at least so far that I can tell. But there are just certain things that, for instance, on this one, that far right lane, I don't know if you can see in the camera, is going to be definitely moving faster as we come up here to merge. But that lane does disappear, and you're forced to merge back into traffic. And I think that's one thing that the computer tries to avoid. And of course, as soon as I say that, this was actually a faster lane today than that lane, which is your enigma of traffic on a daily basis. We all sort of can probably relate to, you see traffic moving fast, like on the left lane here, and then as soon as we make that change into that lane slows down, and the lane you were in speeds up, and you're like, okay, well, whatever. So maybe it's just smarter than I am and knows what's going on. So back to sort of the commute, it does have a variable. You know, you'll see here we have some portions that are going to be full speed limit. We have some portions that are going to be roughly half the speed limit. There will probably be a little stop and go. So it does a little bit of everything, and there's some lane changes and an interchange that I think is a good test. And so it's something that I'm looking forward to continually testing as we get software updates. And you know, hopefully you see some value if you're wondering about Tesla. Just to give you a little bit more reference, this is a 2019 Model X Raven. I took delivery on August 5th. So yes, it has the Autopilot 3 hardware in it. And we're we're sitting on August 22nd today. So less than 3 weeks into ownership. I have about 1,000 miles on the car, and it has been such an incredible experience so far. Flawless. But I can tell you, I think this is the 4th update I've had in less than 3 weeks, and it's getting smoother. So this commute, there were a little bit, I wouldn't say I had to necessarily take over, so to speak, but it was just a little bit more jerky with these updates that I've had. It's definitely making smoother lane changes and just smoother adjustments overall. My last vehicle was an Audi Q7. It had the full, what they call driver's assistance package with the Google Earth cockpit, and you can't even compare them. I mean, that driver's assistance, which for that car was basically it's adaptive cruise, and it will keep you in your lane, and it will make corners, but it was very rudimentary and jerky, and to the point to where I didn't even use it. This Navigate on autopilot, it just, after a week or so, you're just relaxed and letting the car do what it needs to do. Night and day experience. So here we are. We go into a few sweeping turns at basically, essentially the speed limit. One of the interesting things is its choice on when to make lane changes. See, now it's showing that it wants to make a lane change, navigate over to the right, so it gives you a little warning over here before it actually makes that lane change. I'm guessing it's going to make it coming up fairly soon, which is now the blinker is on, but this car is coming up on us to the right, and it doesn't look like it's comfortable making that lane change with the car that close, which is understandably, that car has been sort of sitting in our blind spot. So here it goes to pass, and it will probably now make the lane change, which it did. And that's sort of right before we go into this big sweeping left. As I mentioned before, some of the interesting things is when it decides to make a lane change, and it's had a couple days where it's made a lane change right here in the middle of this sweeping left, which is something that I personally would never do, although the car did it in a very, very safe manner. Just not something that I would choose to do, unless literally it was the only point I could make that change. So there goes the blinker again. It is automatically, I'm gonna put a little pressure on the steering wheel, and makes the lane change into the lane here, which will be exiting onto Arden Way in about a mile. The one thing with the Navigate on autopilot is it lets you go a pretty long time. I'd say about 2 minutes, but then it starts flashing on the top of the screen, and it gives you a little note that you need to put slight pressure on the steering wheel, and that's just to let the car know, hey, wake up, you're not dozing off and not paying attention. So it does require you to put a little bit of pressure every once in a while on the steering wheel. And you can see the car jockeying back and forth there. When that painted line on the right disappears, or there's a merge lane, it tends to be searching for the center. Which has been the case since I've owned the car. So it's gonna, take this lane, and we're now into regular autopilot, so it's gonna keep me in the lane, but it's not gonna make lane changes, and we're not gonna, actually it will slow to a stop here because we have a car in front of us, but if we didn't have a car in front of us, it's not to the point yet in this software where it will recognize the stoplight or stop sign. And this is a full self-driving version. I paid the freight for that, and it's really one of the main reasons I wanted, or that intrigued me the most about these cars. So anyway, there you go. Software Autopilot 2019.28.3.1 Commute. Thanks for watching.